This film is a vision of an urban London river, the Wandle. We will travel from Charlton Ponds to the River Thames at Wandsworth, passing through Hackbridge, Beddington Corner, Morden, Mitcham, and Wimbledon. Hopefully by the end of this journey you will think of both the Wandle and London a little differently. Man has had a relationship with the Wandle for thousands of years. Like many rivers, it has been used as a source of water and for disposing of liquid wastes. It has been used as a decorative feature for gardens, parks, and pathways. It's been used as a source of industrial power. It's Charlton Ponds, the upper pond by the Heritage Centre. It's the lower pond in the Grove. This area has been parkland since the Middle Ages, and these ponds were also used as the mill ponds for the upper Charlton Mill. We'll go around the corner from this pond down a channel and we'll see where the river divides. The left hand branch going to the mill, the right hand going through the park. This pond is also an important area for birds and other wildlife, and seems to be greatly used and enjoyed by the local citizens. The left-hand bank on the stretch was the site of the area's traditional manor house, and would have been the home of the owner of this park in the surrounding area. Just a piece of lumpy ground now showing where the foundations once were. Ahead is the division where the river flows to the mill on the left and to the right, where it immediately leaves the park and enters the site of what was recently a British Petroleum chemical factory. The site is being reused as a housing estate. The river is being given a new channel. This is the old channel through the factory foundations, and the Wandle will shortly run through a new channel being dug for it just to the east. In a few weeks, the river will have a new life in this area, and there will be a new Wandle trail. It's another historic mill, not quite as old as the other ones upstream, and another weir. A railway bridge crosses the river at this point, and as we go under, we come to Wilderness Island, a site administered by the Sutton branch of the London Wildlife Trust, and it's 6 acres of what is now wildlife habitat and trails for the public. On the left is homes for people and a road for their cars. As we go around Wilderness Island, we also come to the Croydon branch, and this is the confluence where the two of them have run together to form the main River Wandle as it is known today. This section has factory estate on the right and housing estate on the left. This is Hackbridge. It was till World War I the site of a historic iron bridge. Below Hackbridge is Culver's Island. It's been used for many things over the centuries. It was recently an estate, a fine home with the river as a scenic feature in it. It's now council housing on the left and a factory on the right. Though the factory, the Phillips Mullard's factory, was for electronic manufacturers, is coming down and houses are going up. It's a beautiful section of the river, though you can see this area has been channelized with hard banks. We come to an area where it's a natural riverbank with emergent vegetation. This is what a river should look like today. It has these plants which grow in the water, which are very important as part of the life of the river. Just trees and shrubberies next to the river are nice, but they're not actually part of the river. It's a very verdant aquatic habitat here. That boy with the bucket was dipping out some fish to look at them. We go from this natural area to another mill area just above Goat Green. It's actually on an island, this mill we see on the left side, with part of the river running at one time, though only a trickle now around it. This is the weir, which shows the power of the river. It was this drop which powered the mill and turned its wheel. Today, A lot of the chalk water that would feed the natural springs of the river is first used by people in their homes, and then it goes to a sewage plant, the Beddington Sewage Works, where it's cleaned and then put back into the river. This flow we see ahead, this quite rapid flow, is from the Beddington Sewage Works. In a sense, it is the main spring of the Wandle today. From this point onwards, we'll have quite a bit of water to film in as we're paddling along in our little boats. And we come to the playing fields on the left side, Sutton's really large playing field area, and on the right, the Mitcham Willow Lane Industrial Estates. This section has a beautiful trail along the left bank of the Wandle Trail. It goes the entire length of the river from the Wandle mouth up to Charlton and to Croydon and beyond. And it's a very good way to see the river. These people are walking on the Wandle Trail and have just stopped to see what we're doing. As the river goes around the bend to the right-hand side, it enters the National Trust Watermeads Nature Reserve, and the right-hand bank has Bennett's Hole Nature Reserve, part of the Morden London Wildlife Trust area. These wildlife areas are normally closed to the public, though today some people have been allowed in and they're seeing the wildlife in the river from this area, one of the few times of the year that it's possible. Very lush river vegetation. It obviously doesn't flood here very often and pull the plants out by the roots. Another weir ahead. The wildlife area on the left was a mill site at one time. We've entered Ravensberg Park. It's London Borough of Merton Park. It's natural at this end and more formalized park-like at this end. If you were to just walk here, you might think it was a lake, a long, narrow lake, which in a sense it is. The water level is controlled by a weir at the lower end, which raises and lower with the water levels to allow more flow across it and keeping the water level at a constant height in the park. Footbridge so people can enjoy both sides of the river. And we come to, at the end of Ravensberg Park, Ravensberg Mill. It's being converted to houses and the home of Wandle Industrial Museum. We're in the mill race, which goes around the mill, and just ahead we would enter, if we were to continue, Morden Hall Park. We're just leaving Morden Hall Park now. It's quite a nice area. It can be seen easily on foot. And we enter a double-branched area of the river. We're on the eastern fork. There's an island between us and the other area. And this is an area of the river which shows the natural floodplain on either side of the river. The river's level with the land almost, and in times of flood makes it marshy on both sides and gives us this lush water meadow emergent vegetation effect, which here as well is very good for wildlife. And can't see it from the river now, but just around the corner we'll be coming to the new site of Dean City Farm. It's been built on the western bank on the left of the river and is a place for riding horses and seeing domesticated animals. People on the riverside walk here, enjoying the river. A fish just jumped, and we're coming to the center of the river in a sense, Merton Abbey Mills. From this point, the river changes dramatically downstream in that it's been deepened to a greater extent, is less park-like, and is more of a flood control channel, but yet still very nice, as you will see. Merton Abbey Mills, these buildings on the right, were the home of Liberty Textile Mills. This is the wheelhouse, which was used for washing the cloth after it was dyed. As we leave Merton Abbey Mills, we go past the site on the left bank of the Robert Morris Works, famous interior designer from the 19th century. And on the right bank is the Seva Center. In the parking lot, they have the site of the Merton Abbey It was famous for many things, and it was the site where Eleanor of Aquitaine was crowned Queen of England. On the left, short ways from here, is where Lady Emma Hamilton had a home, and where Nelson spent his last few nights in England before going to Trafalgar to fight the French. They had a branch of the Wandle which went through their estate, and they called it the Nile, and Nelson is thought to have fished in the Wandle just before going to Trafalgar. Ahead we'll come to Merton High Street, and at the Merton High Street Bridge, it's the intersection where Stane Street, a Roman road, crossed the Wandle on the way from London to Chichester. It's been a very historic area. A lot of things have happened in this area. On the right here is Pickle Ditch. It's the original course of the Wandle, now drains Mitcham Common. We're in a straightened stretch of the river with Wandle Park on the right, and on the left was the Wandle Bank Cottages, and it leads down to Connolly Brothers Leather Works. It's been used for many things over the centuries and is thought to be one of the Doomsday Book mill sites that was recorded by the Romans after their victory in 1066. Who originally brought the mills to the Wandle is somewhat in question. Some people think it was the Saxons who brought them here before the Normans came. We go underneath the mill, come out to a fairly natural section just before Wandle Valley Nature Park. Wandle Valley Nature Park, which begins at North Street Bridge, that's the bridge just overhead, was the site of the Wandle Valley Sewage Works. It's now been converted for natural use. There's plain fields on the left, and it's connected by this new footbridge put in by the council. It's quite a good place for seeing wildlife, and it ends at this railway bridge. Ahead is, on the right-hand bank, is the Graveney confluence, one of the other important tributaries of the river, which drains down from Croydon. The aquatic bird, which just flew off the river, flew away from the Mead Path, which is on the right-hand bank, and is the Wandle Trail for this section. The left has a nutweed plantation. We're below Plough Lane now, and we see the Wimbledon electricity substation. They're digging a tunnel from this substation to the Wandle mouth for the main electrical cables for London. And the left bank along this stretch is the newest part of the Wandle Trail. It's has industrial estates on both sides of the river for this first stretch until you get to the center, where we'll run across a weir. Here you can see up close the steel banks which were put in as part of the deepening process and channelizing process of the early 1960s after a few big floods which flooded this lower section of the Wandle quite badly, and a lot of homes went underwater. In fact, it had quite a reputation for that until these changes were made to the river. We go down the weir. Wow, and we've managed to keep the camera in the boat, so we'll continue filming, and we see some more of this channelized section, though from the water it doesn't look all that bad. Merton Council is hoping to remove this steel bank on this section and make it a little bit more natural, a little bit like this section where you don't have the hard bank, and it's more friendly to wildlife and to people when they come to take a look at the river. Some trees that you can see on the right-hand bank, a line of them mark Garrett Park. Garrett Park is one of the original properties bought by the Wandle Committee in an attempt to save the Wandle from industrialization at the turn of the century. There's allotment gardens between Garrett Park and the Wandle, though, so you cannot see the river from that area. We've now reached Truant Street. There's an island ahead. The river splits on either side of it, and it's the site of Garrett Mills, a mill site that's a little mysterious. People don't know exactly what happened there. And it's where the Wandle Trail, there's some people on it overhead, goes into Earlsfield and then goes down to King George's Park. It's the main railway line between London, Waterloo, and the Southampton in the southwest. You can see there's quite a few trains that use it. It's actually a double bridge. There's a steel bridge that the trains use now, and just behind it is a beautiful brick arch that was built. This is one of the first railway lines from London, built in the 1840s, an early feature on the landscape. Some emergent vegetation on the left bank. You can see this beautiful skewed arch built at an angle across the river. So hopefully going to be an area where the Wandle Trail runs soon. Some old mill buildings. We're near the boundary between Merton and Wandsworth. In fact, you'll see a small stream on the left. This is a stream that comes from Wimbledon Park, and that stream marks the boundary between Wimbledon Park and Wandsworth. We're coming up to Penrith Road Bridge. You'll see this center divider in the river, which helps keep the river erosion in this twisting section to a minimum. And we come to the just closed Kenco Coffee Factory. It too is being converted to housing. We're now to King George's Park in Wandsworth. And they've done a wonderful thing here. They've lowered the riverbank and made a small floodplain so that aquatic vegetation can grow there and wildlife can use the area and people can enjoy it. You'll see there's quite a few birds in this area. They seem to have already approved of these park improvements by Wandsworth. There's factories and small industrial units on the right-hand bank next to the park. They've been there for a very long time and continue to be used and are a very important part of the life and workings of Wandsworth. In the center of the park is Kimber Road. This bridge is solid, and it's a bit of a shame because nobody who drives across the bridge can see that there's this beautiful river next to them. It's one of the problems in this part of the river. It is difficult to see even from the Wandle Trail. In the center of the park also there's an industrial site on the western bank of the Wandle. We're going to see that section now. The river twists here, so they've put in the center divider to help slow down erosion. They've put concrete walls on the banks to make it a very strict river. We see a factory bridge here. This is not a public bridge, but it allows factory traffic to go back and forth between the factory on both sides of the stream. These sites have problems with local vandals. You'll see ahead large piles of pallets and large industrial rubbish bins which have been pushed into the stream, I'm sure to the great annoyance of the people who have to fish them out. It's the Inware factory and warehouse straight ahead. It's an old mill site. The river runs underneath the factory and also has a mill race which goes around. There's a weir in the center, so we're going to take of the factory, so we're going to take the mill race which goes around the factory. Quite an exciting section. Some of the local boys came to see us off. And we go around the Inware factory. The left-hand bank of this section is the home of one of the last remaining outdoor bathing places in London, the Big Splash. You can see this water flows rapidly. You can tell that this mill was quite a powerful mill. They had quite a good head of water to push their wheel. And that part of King George's Park also had a pond in it which held some of the water so they could use it when they needed it. Birds seem to like this section. This is one of the Mapleton Road bridges. We go underneath it and we can see the Arndale Centre Towers. It's the urban part of the Wandle, most definitely. Quite a few people live just over the river, and you'll see in a minute the river actually goes underneath the shopping centre and the towers. It's quite a long stretch that's been put underground. It takes 20 minutes when you go through. We come out underneath Wandsworth High Street to a beautiful scene which you can see if you stop on the High Street and look down the riverbed. The Ram Brewery, home of Young's Brewery, is Young's Beer, is on the right-hand bank. You can see quite a pleasant bit of foliage that can be seen. small park on the left-hand bank here as well, so you can walk down to where that chap is standing to see the river and its life. Take a look back at the Arndale Centre. The Ram Brewery's on the left. And we now go to the section where it's not visible from the road. You can see there's no vegetation here, though. You can tell it wouldn't take much to make this section quite a bit more scenic. That's Armory Way Bridge ahead. It's part of the A3, which runs through Wandsworth and makes it up on the city streets quite a busy city centre. A lot of traffic, a lot of people drive out of London this way. There's hope to make the Wandle Trail run through this section. Underneath Armory Way, there's a road on the left bank. It's called the Causeway. It's a very nice road. It's the Wandle Trail for this area. And you can come down to the Wando Delta. This is the area of the Wandle that seems to have been sacred in the Bronze Age. There's been large amounts of shields, swords, and very valuable ornamental things which were thrown into the Wandle and the Thames at this point. Ahead you see a structure. It stands up out of the water. It's called the Sluice Gates, and it, like the wheelhouse at Merton Abbey Mills, has been converted into a mini hydro plant by a group called Platform. They've made it into an electricity generating site and a form of renewable energy, which they're promoting for London. A rather unique project in our area. There's a lot of unused land in the Wando Delta now. It was the site of a major gasworks and a lot of other large industries which have now gone. And there's a lot of questions which remain as to how this land should be used now. There's quite a few sites right on the Wandle and the Thames which are open for development. Our voyage ends here in the Delta. There's some weirs between this non-tidal section and the tidal Bell Lane Creek section of the Wandle, which we cannot negotiate. So we'll have to meet our party just down by the railway bridge. And thank you very much for coming with us. Our last shot that we'll see is of the tidal section of Bell Lane Creek, which too, in its own way, is a very important